Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Today, we have another Chille De Karen video, but this time, he's gone full Star Trek on us and projected his stupidity into the future.
Imagine a world that didn't have the terms law enforcer or police or cop. Imagine a world that the way you identified what authority was by what they were wearing on their head.
Chille, you make looking dumb look easy, so let's begin.
And just imagine for just a moment, if you could just imagine that behind these lenses, there was cameras that went out in 6 different directions. And these goggles right here with these particular kind of glasses, that the new agency that's in authority, they don't wear a gun or a badge. They wear a headset like this one.
I hate to be the one to piss in your Cheerios. Well, actually, I lied. I love to be the one to piss in your Cheerios. So I'm gonna use some basic common sense to show you exactly why your ridiculous Ray-Bans would fail at replacing modern law enforcement. First, you said cops would be replacing their guns and badges with these headsets. Will these headsets shoot lasers out of the eyes to protect the innocent people from armed psychopaths? Or are those citizens just fucked?
But to get one like this that has cameras pointing in 6 different directions, that goes to both transparency and also goes to the Montesquieu for checks and balances, 2 different agencies see what I see at all times. My headphones are a beacon for drones.
Oh god, Chille, why do you make this so easy? Private Bluth, we have a location on the target. You may fire when ready.
You're not gonna get away from me, little nurse. Take that, Taliban wedding!
In a decentralized, transparent, free country. Transparency. When this person comes on the scene, you realize everybody's watching. We get bonuses by not violating your rights because this goes to 2 different agencies at the same time.
So now we're talking about a headset that has 6 cameras, a processing unit with all the necessary cables, not to mention a beacon for my attack drones to remind you how stupid this idea is at any time, plus a Wi-Fi transmitter with all the cell towers and people to maintain this system. Something tells me you didn't think this one all the way through now, did you, Chille? Now why don't you spin around and let the whole world get a 360-degree view of what a bona fide dumbass looks like? Good job, monkey.
No need for a uniform, no need to scream and yell. I am transparency. The judge could be watching this. Who will be in charge of your sentence? A new day has dawned. We're looking at something that is possible now, that can be done now. What happens? You see 20 cops on the scene for someone who was jaywalking. You know what? I'm not going to say anything else until all the graphics are done. But I want you to think about a new reality that we could do now. All that equipment that they have, all that ridiculous Fallujah! It's not happening.
Chille De Karen makes it seem as though police are pulling over Grandma in her Lincoln Continental in full infantry gear with a flashbang and an M4.
Someone shot a gun in Brooklyn, in New York, and oh my God, right? But even still, nobody with a machine gun helped. It's ridiculous. Transparency is the way. Transparency is the new future. And so in the great state of Ohio, by 2026, This is what I'll implement as governor.
You gonna patent that first, like you claim you did with your Velcro cuffs, which are magically not torture and still strong enough to confine even the most dangerous and determined to escape detainees? You know, you can always tell you're dealing with a grifter when they want to sell you their own patented items as replacements for simple things like handcuffs, or they want you to buy their pamphlet that is made on indestructible paper. And now he wants to sell every city in America an Orwellian headset. No thanks, Chille. I liked my 1984 in 1984.
Do you see? Because if you put yourself in a position of authority, you put yourself in the position of being a civil servant to the people. Now, what this does is makes it so that everybody can see what everybody's doing at all times. You can always see 6 different cameras and 2 different agencies. That this agency over here has agents to arrest bad people in transparency.
And who arrests the bad agents in the Montesquieu? Or in your fantasy world, are there just no bad Montesquieu tards?
So there's not going to be any because everything's on camera. When you see police officers shoot someone today, it's often behind of a pin or a lapel or it's fell off. To get this apparatus, it takes 2 years of study, and this is fit to your head that has to be booted up through a system with 4 different towers that all have to boom you on. And then there's people watching you through your transparency. This doesn't come off. This is on. This is fit to your head. This makes you transparent. It can see down, around, everything your hands are doing below you can be seen by the cameras.
Chille De Karen has become death, destroyer of private masturbation.
So this would be transparency. You wouldn't call it police anymore. You wouldn't call it law enforcement. That's not what it would be. This outfit, to get this headset, you have to go to school for 2 years. You have to learn what being transparent is truly about. And it's not about law enforcers. It's not about policing America because we're free. This is about allowing everybody to see what's happening. And when transparency comes onto the scene, whether it be a bar fight or a domestic, you know and I know and everybody knows that transparency, when they come, there's 6 cameras, all different directions. And there's people in 2 different agencies, in transparency and in Montesquieu. And they're watching everything. Now, at this point, because you know right here, everybody is seeing you right now. The judge could be seeing you. You have a choice. You can keep fighting or you can stop. And there's going to be some people who won't stop fighting. There's going to be some crazy people who shoot at people. There is going to be still crazies. The change happens, though, when we realize that we're all now on camera. We're on camera.
Exactly what fantasy world do you live in where crazy people who are attacking random people with guns are suddenly going to stop their illogical behavior because you're wearing 6 cameras around that hollow cavity in your head? Here's a thought. The gunman stops shooting the random people and takes aim at that perfect little bullseye.
I don't want to get into specifics right now because I have some big layouts coming out here pretty soon, but I want you to think about it in a new way. We no longer need a cowboy with a gun on his side and a big hunk of metal on his chest coming walking in, I'm going to help out. And then we end up with 20 cops hanging out at someone's house and they're all sitting around talking. It's a horrible system. It's an excessive system. It's an abusive system. And it's time to change it. And it's time to change it now. And transparency offers you the freedom to be free without your rights being violated, because in this year, he's going to hear from transparency, and in this year, he's going to hear from the Montesquieu. So if transparency says, oh, I'm going to walk over there because that guy's jaywalking, you hear a voice from the Montesquieu said, no, you're not.
And what happens when they disagree? Who's then responsible when that guy gets hit by a car and it's revealed that one of your Star Trek rejects could have stopped it, but some other jackass told him not to? There are literally a million different scenarios I could come up with where discontinuity between the 2 agencies would cost lives, not save them.
Leave them alone. Because we don't need the amount of law enforcing that's been put on us. We don't need cops hiding along the side of the freeway. We don't need DEA agents pulling you over because you were following too close, but oh, by the way, we're just going to check your car.
You literally have no idea what you're talking about. If the DEA is pulling you over, it's not because you're traveling 10 miles per hour over the speed limit. It's because you're part of a federal drug operation that directly involves that agency. See, that's what Chille does. He likes to take the most outrageous and outlandish situations that would never happen in real life and say, but what if?
So Montesquieu essentially is an opposing agency, but they're in the cameras, and they get a copy of the footage in two different agencies. And so now right here, when I walk in, you're seeing that the cameras go all the way around. This is a very particular headset. Now, these are just my headphones, but these ones are GPS locators, and they're internet providers.
Wait, did you just say your headphones are also going to be internet providers? So now, these magical headsets are not only going to be transmitting HD audio and video from 6 cameras, but also the internet traffic from everybody else that's connected?
You know, why can't every governor be wearing transparency when they sign every single bill? Why can't we know? It's just preposterous. It's just preposterous that we live in this information digital era where we can have microbytes of information.
And if you couldn't tell he was a crayon taste tester before, then what he just said should remove all doubt. Microbytes are 1/1,000,000th of a single byte. What you are insinuating would take petabytes or greater per day.
And we can put away that data, and people can go back and watch it after we redact the names, because the agency, the Montesquieu, does that right away. When you get pulled over, which there would be no more pullovers, that would be a thing of the past, because transparency would dictate that you wouldn't have to pull people over. You could just drive up next to them and look at them in transparency with your headset on, and they would they would realize, you know what, I better slow down. And then that person, you could see if they slowed down, if they acted rational.
2 problems I see here. First, defining something as a rational action is completely subjective, which takes us back to a previous problem I mentioned, which was what if these 2 agents don't agree with each other? And 2, this already fucking happens with police officers' body cams and dash cams. What you are advocating for is exactly the same thing that you hate, except for in a different, less private way for everyone involved, including innocent citizens.
If they're acting erratic and they're drunk on the road, nobody wants that. But once you pull up alongside of them and you look over at that headset that I showed you guys, if transparency is there, even someone who, they're going to straighten themselves up. And then with voluntary pullovers, that makes it so much easier, because America, with its substance problems, from alcohol to methamphetamines, we need to create a pullover system versus a DUI checkpoint system. I mean, no, have you ever thought about that? A voluntary pullover system? At every exit between this sector in Houston, Texas, there's a voluntary yellow car pullover. You had too much, you can't do it, you thought you were sober, pull over, we'll take you home. We'll take you home. You realized when you got in the car, you thought it was a good idea. On the freeway, you said, you know what, this isn't a good idea. The yellow car pullover service. You pull over, there's 2 bright yellow cars. One will take your car, one will take you. Why don't we offer something like that?
Let me tell you why this is a really, really bad idea. First, when people are drunk off their ass and making really bad decisions, they don't magically just start making good decisions, usually until they sober up. Also, by giving people an easy way out, you start to normalize driving drunk. By telling people that if halfway through your trip you realize you probably shouldn't have been driving the first half, you could just pull over. And I guess now would be the time to address the really big green elephant in the room. Who and how is all of this going to be paid for?
And then on the way home, we could talk to that guy and see if he has an alcohol or drug problem. And we could start to invest in people, instead of invest in dungeons and paying people to guard skin that they're not qualified to be in charge of.
Chille, you are literally the only person in the world I know of that is so stupid that he's not qualified to guard a pile of skin.
This is a new paradigm. So I'll give you a simple example. If you're looking for a white car with a kid in the back of it, all transparency can walk out to the lawn and look around, and then you have all 6 cameras with people in 2 different agencies looking for that kid, if it's really about safety. But if we don't embrace the digital generation in full, before these tyrants take advantage of it further than they already have. If you didn't know you're on camera at all times, you're mistaken. You can't go to CVS without being on camera.
So I ask you again, Chille, if we are all on camera all the time to begin with, then why do we need to invest in your system, which would have the populace giving up more rights than we already have?
This changes the game. They can't turn it on and off. There's no turning it on and off. Once you boot up and 4 different towers okay you, because we need your goggles in 2 different agencies of Montesquieu and 2 different transparent agencies, because the people who are transparents, they are competing for their quarter bonuses based on how little intrusion they create in society and how little violence they use, because they don't need arms. The agencies here that are watching can call in the appropriate amount of force needed. So that means you don't need 16 different agencies that all have jurisdiction over this one house. They hear a man with a gun, and so now you have 16 different agencies converging on it. And there's how much money is that? How much money is it for you and me?
After hearing you go over your logistical nightmare that would absolutely cost the taxpayers billions of dollars, I do not want to hear you complain about how much money would be spent on a 16 agency man with a gun scenario that would simply never happen in America. Sorry, Chille, but you're an idiot and you made that shit up. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you disliked it, leave a dislike. But be sure to comment below and don't forget to subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss any of my content. I'm Team Skeptic, and I'm out.